Hello everyone, welcome to the Stalwart Initiative, and we're back for another look at Tasha's Cauldron of everything. And this time we're moving on to the Clerics, and boy did Tasha's bring in some pretty sweet Cleric additions here. We'll start off with the optional class features, and then we'll move on to the subclasses. Since we have 3 new domains, I'm going to kind of move through this initial part pretty swiftly here. So first up at level 1 we get additional Cleric spells. This is just adding to the Cleric spell list from mostly spells from the player's handbook, but there are a couple Tasha spells in here as well. At 3rd level, we now have Aura Vitality, something I think we probably should have had from the get-go as a cleric. Decent heal spell, especially if you can keep the concentration up. Spirit Shroud is an aura, also an aura, so it's kind of like a mix between Chill Touch and Ray of Frost effects kind of aura that's new here in Tasha's. It's okay. Okay. 4th level, Aura of Life and Aura of Purity. Thought they should have been there anyway. Let's say 5th level, you get Summon Celestial, which is nice to have have one of the new summon spells that summon spirit spells essentially at a lower level than what you would get for summon for the celestial thing that clerics already get. I think it's at 7th level if I remember correctly that they get a celestial thing already. 6th level, you get Sunbeam. Sunbeam's, yeah, pretty sweet. Sunbeam's pretty sweet at 6th level because you get the initial damage, and then you can, as long as you keep concentration, you can keep pew pew blowing sunbeams out. Nice addition. Sunburst is kind of the same thing. It's making the bright light. It's like an AOE bomb effect. It's instantaneous, so you don't have to worry about concentration, but you know, I prefer Sunbeam, especially for all the more damage that Sunburst does. But yeah, it's AoE damage for the cleric, which is nice. And 9th level, Power Word Heal. Yeah, should just be there. Yep. Okay, next up we have at a 2nd level feature, we have Harness Divine Power. You can expend one of your channel divinities to fuel your spells. As a bonus action, you touch your holy symbol, utter a prayer, and regain 1 expended spell slot, the level of which can be no higher than half your proficiency bonus, rounded up. The number of times you can use this feature is based on the level you've reached in this class. 2nd level once, 6th level twice, 18th level thrice. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. This is a way to, because Channel Divinity normally runs off of short rests, recharges on a short rest. They had to specifically put this in here so you're not recharging your spells on a short rest. Makes sense. I like it. I very much like the versatility they're adding here. Channel Divinities, depending on your domain, can sometimes be very lackluster, and this is a way to get use out of those Channel Divinities if you see you're not going to need them. Very nice. Very welcome addition. At 4th level, we get Cantrip Versatility. When you reach a level in this class that grants the ability score improvement feature, you can replace 1 cantrip you learn in this class's spell casting feature with another cantrip from the cleric spell list. Yeah, it just makes sense to be able to switch out your cantrips, even if it is only every 4 levels per the cleric setup. But that's fine. That's good. You know, it's not a whole lot of a great selection of cleric cantrips anyway, so this is a well-needed feature. At 8th level, this was one that's needed, welcomed, but I'm glad it's optional. So Blessed Strikes. At 8th level, you are blessed with the Divine Might in battle. When a creature takes damage from one of your cantrips or weapon attacks, you can also deal 1d8 radiant damage to that creature. Once you deal this damage, you can't use this feature again until the start of your next turn. This would replace your Divine Strikes or Potent Spellcasting feature. Those features, every subclass, every domain of the cleric gets those at level 8. And depending on whether your domain is gearing you more towards like spellcasty version of cleric or more towards a physical get up in their face and deal melee damage while also healing and doing your utility stuff kind of cleric. So Divine Strike or Potent Spellcasting is a feature you're going to get anyway. This replaces one of those. And So for potent spell casting, that allows you to add your wisdom modifier to your cantrips, which is typically at 8th level. You're probably going to have a 4 or 5 as your modifier for that. That is straight damage. This is allowing you to be more versatile and add that to your attacks as well as your cantrips, though you do sacrifice the chance of rolling lower than your straight damage that you would normally be offered for your potent spell casting. I do think this is a good idea. I think it's for potent spell casting, this is a good trade-off. However, for Divine Strike scales a little better. So at 14th level, I believe it is, Divine Strike goes from 1d8 of whatever kind, depending on your domain, is what kind of damage you deal. Excuse me. That will scale up to 2d8. So if you use this with Divine Strike and you're not a cleric that uses cantrips, you're gonna lose out on power level once you get to 14th level. Though if you use cantrips at all, this is great up till 14th level. So something to consider when you have Divine Strike. But it does offer a level of versatility because it's cantrips and melee attacks as opposed to one or the other. Very nice. Okay, let's move on to our new domains. Yeah, well, okay. Let's start off with a reprint. The Order Domain is a reprint of the Order Domain from Ravnica, from Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. A wonderful, wonderful campaign setting. One of my favorites. So far released, anyway. There's a little blurb here about Ravnica lore stuff. You can read it there if you like. I've already gone over that stuff before. But the ideal of Order is obedience to the law above all else, rather than to a specific individual or the passing influence of emotion or popular rule. Clerics of Order are typically concerned with how things are done, rather than whether an action's results are just. Following the law and obeying its edicts is critical, especially when it benefits these clerics and their guilds or deities. Law establishes hierarchies. Those selected by the law to lead must be obeyed. Those who obey must do so to the best of their ability. In this manner, law creates an intricate web of obligations that allow society to forge order and security in a chaotic multiverse. Basically, yeah, this is a very you must obey and very imposing figure, this Order Domain Cleric. And there's a list of features that we're going to go over. First up, you will get your domain spells. And it's a pretty decent list. It's nice to see things like Slow in there. And Zone of Truth. I don't think clerics get Zone of Truth, if I remember correctly. So it's nice to see that added there. Yeah, so decent. Heroism. I'm surprised they don't get that normally. But they do have Command, Hold Person, stuff like that. So, yeah, decent list. Also, at first level, we get bonus proficiencies. When you choose this domain at first level, you gain proficiency with heavy armor. So now we can already tell this is going to be one of the melee, get up in your face kind of clerics. You also gain proficiency in the intimidation or persuasion skill, your choice, depending on what route you want to go, how you want to present yourself here. At first level, you also get Voice of Authority. Starting at first level, you can invoke the power of law to drive an ally to attack. If you cast a spell with a spell slot of first level or higher, and target an ally with the spell, that ally can use their reaction immediately after the spell to make one weapon attack against a creature of your choice that you can see. Normally they put caveats in there and say, that they have within their range. Surprised they didn't put it here. If the spell targets more than one ally, you choose the ally who can make the attack. Very nice, very nice. So if you're healing an ally, if you have to give up your action or bonus action, depending, to heal or use utility spells, this is allowing you to get more versatility out of that and actually do some damage while tending to your cleric duties. The channel of divinity for the Order Domain is Order's Demand. And starting at second level, you can use your channel of divinity to exert an intimidating presence over others. As an action, you present your holy symbol, and each creature of your choice that you can see or hear within 30 feet of you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be charmed by you. Oh, wow. or be charmed by you until the end of your next turn, or until the charmed creature takes any damage. You can also use any of the charmed creatures. You can also cause any of the charmed creatures to drop what they're holding when they fail the saving throw. I should just paraphrase this. That way I don't have to do my clunky reading here, getting ahead of myself. This is very nice. So you not only charm a creature within 30 feet, but you can also make them disarm them, make them drop their weapon. This can be very useful, especially if you're playing in a setting where you're fighting a lot of humanoids or creatures with weapons, that you can have them drop it. Very nice. And the charmed effect is cool as long as your allies aren't ignoring it and going in and attacking out of fits of rage. At 6th level, we get Embodiment of the Law. You become remarkably adept at channeling magical energy to compel others. If you cast a spell of the enchantment school using a spell slot of 1st level or higher, you can change the spell's casting time to 1 bonus action for this casting, provided the spell's casting time is normally 1 action. So an action spell to a bonus action, that's nice. It'll allow you to get your attack off, even though you don't get an extra attack. That sucks with this martial class. But you can either do it, get your attack off, or a cleric cantrip, or cantrip, any cantrip, for that matter. Very cool, very cool. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of once, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So this is nice, nice. At 6th level, it is allowing you to be a little more versatile with your turns. Let's see. Next up, we have Divine Strike. So at 8th level, we discussed earlier, Divine Strike, Potent Spellcasting, or Blessed Strike, I think is a new one that we covered. This is going to give you an extra 1d8 psychic damage to the target when you hit on your turn, and when you reach 14th level, it goes to 2d8. So that's the trade-off. Either you get Blessed Strike, where you're versatile, can do it with your cantrips or attacks, or you go here and have it scale a little higher with your attacks, but you're pigeonholed there. As our capstone, at 17th level, we get Order's Wrath. Starting at 17th level, enemies you designate for destruction wilt under the combined efforts of you and your allies. If you deal your Divine Strike damage to a creature on your turn, you can cause that creature, and you can curse that creature until the start of your next turn. The next time one of your allies hits the cursed creature with an attack, the target also takes 2d8 psychic damage, and the curse ends. You can curse a creature in this way only once per turn. All right. The Order Domain seemed pretty cool up until now. This is okay. It's consistent damage. It doesn't require you to use spells. It doesn't have a limited number of per long rest uses. It's okay. But it's your capstone domain ability. 17th level, and you're possibly doing 2d8 damage per round. Remember, you have to deal your Divine Strike damage. And it doesn't say Blessed Strike, mind you. Divine Strike damage to have this, to curse the target. I just think it's reliant on that one attack you get to hit, to be able to deal possibly 2d8 extra damage. 17th level ability, that's not that great in my opinion. Meh. So that being said, I mean, the Order Domain's pretty cool up to a certain point, and then it just kind of seems to fall off for me. Not something I would play personally. But the Peace Domain is kind of the opposite end of that scale. And I really like the Peace Domain, so let's take a look. The Balm of Peace thrives at the heart of healthy communities, between friendly nations, and in the soul of the kind-hearted. The gods of peace inspire people of all sorts to resolve conflict and to stand up against those forces that try to prevent peace from flourishing. See the Peace Deities table for a list of some of the gods associated with this domain. Clerics of the Peace Domain preside over the signing of treaties, and they're often asked to arbitrate in disputes. These clerics' blessings draw people together and help them shoulder one another's burdens, and the cleric's magic aids those who are driven to fight for the way of peace. Those to fight for peace. Yes, fighting and peace. That goes well, we've seen historically. So the domain spells that you get for the Peace Domain: Heroism Sanctuary, Aid, Warding Bond, Beacon of Hope, Sending or Purity. Ooh, Odaluke's Resilient Sphere. Nice. Greater Restoration and Rary's Telepathic Bond. Not that inspiring of a list, if you ask me. But let's see what else they get, because they get pretty good shit. So at first level, you also get Implement of Peace. You gain proficiency in Insight, Performance, or Persuasion skill, your choice. That's a nice. We're kind of looking at, instead of it like intimidating presence like the Order Domain, we're looking at more kind ways of getting resolutions here. Very nice. And Insight is good addition there as well. So also at first level, emboldening, you get Emboldening Bond, and this is the crux here of the Peace Domain. You can forge an empowering bond among people who are at peace with one another. As an action, you choose a number of willing creatures within 30 feet of you. This can include yourself, equal to your proficiency bonus. So at first level, when we get this is 2 creatures. It could be you and one other creature, or 2 creatures that you choose. You create a magical bond among them for 10 minutes, or until you use this feature again. While any bonded creature is within 30 feet of another, the creature can roll a 1d4 or a d4 and add the number rolled to an attack roll, an ability check, or saving throw it makes. Each creature can add the d4 no more than once per turn, and you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Woo! This is great. This is great. So this is a Bless and Guidance spells smushed into one, and you don't have to use a spell slot to use them. You can get multiple targets, starting out at two targets, 2 friendly creatures, and that will scale up to 6 with your proficiency as you go. And the number of times per long rest also scales from 2 to 6. And this is great, man. This is great, and it lasts 10 minutes. Yeah, I like it. I really like it. This is super useful, and it's just very versatile. It's great. Second level, you get your Channel Divinity, which is Balm of Peace. You can use your Channel Divinity to make your very presence a soothing balm. As an action, you can move up to your speed without provoking opportunity attacks, and when you move within 5 feet of another creature during this action, you can restore a number of hit points to that creature equal to 2d6 plus your Wisdom modifier, minimum of 1 hit point. A creature can receive this healing only once whenever you take this action. Very cool, very good use. As I said earlier, sometimes Channel Divinities can be pretty lackluster or only useful in very niche situations. This is universally useful. So it not only allows you to weave in and out of enemies in combat without getting opportunity attacks, you can heal your allies along the way. So you can do a serpentine pattern through combat, healing each allied creature 2d6 plus your Wisdom modifier. That's pretty good, especially in early levels. That is a lot. That can be complete heals right there. Very cool. And it's multiple targets. And it recharges on a short rest. This is great healing without using spell slots on a short rest recharge. That's great. And plus you can have multiple Channel Divinity uses anyway. So fantastic Channel Divinity. I like it. At 6th level for our feature, we get Protective Bond. This is going to further boost our bond. The bond you forge between people helps them protect each other. When a creature affected by your Emboldening Bond feature is about to take damage, a second bonded creature within 30 feet of the first can use its reaction to teleport to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the first creature. The second creature then takes all the damage instead. If I remember correctly, in playtest and in Unearthed Arcana, this you could share amongst multiple creatures or amongst all those that are bonded. Yeah, the ability to exchange for one creature and having them teleport to you, it's a little more balanced, I think, this way, instead of getting the little bitty sharing amongst several creatures. This is a little more balanced, and it allows people to teleport around the battlefield. Yeah, I like it. Very cool. We're going to come back to that as well. So at 8th level, we get Potent Spellcasting. So we know this is a spellcasting cleric. Add your Wisdom modifier to any damage you deal with a cleric cantrip, which earns short supply. Very short supply. Very small choices here. And now see this capstone. Expansive Bond. So at 17th level, The benefits of your emboldening bond and protective bond features now work when the creatures are within 60 feet of each other. So it was 30 feet. Now we're doubling the range of this aura, essentially. Moreover, when a creature uses protective bond to take someone else's damage, the creature has resistance to that damage. That is, so you're not only allowing them to take the damage for the creature, they also take half of that. Very cool. Very cool. Very great feature. Yeah. Peace Domain. Man, it's really good. Speaking of really good, let's move on to the Twilight Domain. Wow, our last subclass feature here. Currently we just started a campaign with one of the players is a Twilight Domain. Shout out to Phil. And this is, it's already looking like it's going to be super powerful, super useful. Let's take a look at the features. The Twilight transition from light into darkness often brings calm and even joy as the day's labors end and the hours of rest begin. The darkness can also bring terrors, but the gods of Twilight guard against the horrors of the night. Clerics who serve these deities, examples of which appear on the Twilight deities table, bring comfort to those who seek rest and protect them from venturing into the encroaching darkness to ensure that the dark is a comfort, not a terror. Very well put. There's a list of the deities right there. And let's move on down to our domain spells. Fairy Fire, wonderful, wonderful addition here. Sleep, Moonbeam, See Invisibility, or Vitality. Liam's Tiny Hut, very cool. I'm sure I'm going to see plenty of that over the next several months. Aura of Life, Greater Invisibility, Circle Power, Mislead. Decent spell list, especially early on. Loving it. It's gelling. We get bonus proficiencies at level 1. You gain proficiency with martial weapons and heavy armor. Already know we're going to be on the front lines here. Nice and armored up. Our second first level feature is Eyes of Night. You can see through the deepest gloom. Your dark vision, you have dark vision out to a range of 300 feet. In that radius, you can see in dim light as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. I don't know why, but we have to explain dark vision. As an action, you can magically share the dark vision of this feature with willing creatures you can see within 10 feet of you, up to a number of creatures equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum 1, and the shared dark vision lasts for 1 hour. Once you share it, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a spell slot of any level to share it again. Super, super powerful, especially to help those, to help the handful of races that don't have dark vision, because in 5th edition, let's just hand it to everyone. The few people who don't have dark vision feel better, right? And nothing's worse than being the only party member who doesn't have dark vision and suffering for it. Or not being able to help and contribute because you're having disadvantage on attacks or whatever it may be doing to lessen your effectiveness. So very cool, very powerful feature, and the fact I love this veering towards using spell slots. This extra addition here at the end, using any spell slot to use this again. Dark Vision is a 2nd level spell, and you only use it on 1 target at that level. This allows you to do multiple targets for an hour, which is less than the 8 hours of Dark Vision, but it doesn't initially take a spell slot. And when you do use spell slots for it, it can be any level. It can be 1st level. A super powerful 1st level Dark Vision. Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. Also at 1st level, as if we need to be more powerful with this subclass, you get Vigilant Blessing. The night has taught you to be vigilant. As an action, you give one creature you touch, including possibly yourself, advantage on the next initiative roll the creature makes. This benefit ends immediately after the roll, or if you use this feature again. This is very powerful as well. So either you, if you're by yourself, or any one person you pick, can have advantage on initiative all the time. There's going to be someone running around with advantage on initiative. When is it not useful? It's useful. It's great. It's wonderful. So our 1st level with this subclass is great. Good stuff. Let's see here. So our channel divinity here is Twilight Sanctuary. You can use your channel divinity to refresh your allies with Soothing Twilight. As an action, you present your holy symbol and a sphere of twilight emanates from you. The sphere is centered on you and has a 30-foot radius and is filled with dim light. The sphere moves with you and it lasts for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated or die. Whenever a creature, including you, ends its turn in the sphere, you can grant that creature one of these benefits. They gain temporary hit points equal to 1d6 plus your cleric level, and you end one effect on it, causing it to be charmed or frightened. Whoo! That is crazy useful. Like I said before, I'm usually not a fan of a lot of these channel divinities because they're not that useful, or they are in specific situations. This is great. Always useful. Temp hit points that scale wonderfully. So when you get this at second level, that is what, 3 to 8 temp hit points for multiple targets, multiple creatures, and or I shouldn't say or ending in condition, charmed or frightened, conditions that can completely wreck you in combat. You can have them do that. This is great, and that's going to scale the whole way up to cleric level 20, so they'd be like 21 to 26 temp hit points, and that's going to keep going. That's not a concentration. That's just going to keep going. Very cool. For 1 minute. Very cool. At 6th level, you get Steps of Night. You can draw on the mystical power of night to rise into the air. As a bonus action, when you're in dim light or darkness, you can magically give yourself a flying speed equal to your walking speed for 1 minute. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So at 6th level, your proficiency bonus is 3, so you can use this 3 times per long rest. And if you use your channel divinity, that's going to give you the dim light you need to be in. Speaking of that, that does suck that you have to make your allies in dim light while they're in this sphere for your channel divinity, because that's going to give them disadvantage on perception checks. I think that's all dim light does. Disadvantage on perception checks, but it's a good trade-off. It's a wonderful trade-off there. But anyway, this is great. Dim light or darkness, you get a flying speed, and you can use it multiple times per long rest. It's just super useful. So we're hitting all these aspects here. This domain is super useful all around, and I can't wait to see this over a long term. We're starting at 7th level in our campaign, so we're already up to where we are right now as far as features. So this ought to be interesting. You gain the ability to infuse your weapon strikes with divine energy. For Divine Strike, everybody who's looked at domains knows what this is. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can cause the attack to deal an extra 1d8 radiant damage. So this is radiant damage for this particular domain, and at 14th level it goes up to 2d8. And again, we can now have that optional Blessed Strikes feature earlier. Let's see what the capstone is here. Twilight Shroud. At 17th level, the Twilight you summon offers a protective embrace. You and your allies have half cover while in a sphere created by your Twilight Sanctuary. Okay, granted, I might have said earlier that it sucks that you're giving your allies, you're putting them in dim light and giving them disadvantage on perception checks, but you're also giving them +2 to their AC and +2 to all dexterity saving throws while in that aura that's already hooking them up. This is great. Wonderful subclass. Wonderful domain. So Twilight, I might be playing that sometime because it's all around very useful and pretty powerful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. There's our Cleric. We'll be moving on to the Bard. I think, yeah, Bard's our next one. And yeah, let's finish up these subclasses and move on to other parts of the book. And we're gonna have some other videos coming the channel's way here as well as finishing up Tasha's. I know it's been a while. I'm pretty slow on these, but yeah, what are you gonna do? Thank you very much for hanging with me this far. And I'll see you in like a week. And remember, unity is strength. So take care of each other, stay safe, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye.